Montero LS Sport Utility. What? Oh, that's neat. Listed a day ago. 2 Mitsubishi Monteros. Runs NR drives. Needs a fuel pump. Please no dreamers. Selling as a package. Clean title on both. This is interesting. What is about the rust though? So what does he say? Needs a driver window and has rust. Runs and drives. Silver's an automatic. Starts with starting fluid. These are kind of neat. These are kind of neat. When were they posted? A day ago? Today we're going to look at a pair of first generation Mitsubishi Monteros. I believe they're late 80s, early 90s vintage. There's 2 of them. One's an automatic, one's a manual. One runs and drives kind of, one doesn't. One is tan, one is silver. Anyways, they're cheap. They're $2,500 for the pair. All right, so this is the tan one. This is the good one. It did start up, took it a minute, didn't want to idle it first. These don't have cats on them. This one's missing a window. This one's had some work done to the engine. Heads were either replaced or rebuilt. We do have a check engine light, not real worried about that. We do have oil pressure. It's got 239 on it. Yeah, I might try and take this thing for a spin. It's not too bad in here. This seems to shift fine. This seems to shift fine. I've used reverse, I've used first. The brakes are an absolute piece of work. They both don't work very well and they seem to be sticking. Very loud, no catalytic converter. But it idles and stuff and goes into all the gears. And the silver one, this one has no rust on it. The other one has some rust, it's not terrible. I can confirm that this starts on starting fluid. Runs for a second, so we can assume fuel delivery issue. Tank read's empty and the tach works, so I know the gauges are doing something. A lot of work between the 2 of these. You know, I'd like to, you like to sleep on these things, but this guy needs these gone, and I need to make a decision. All right, so it is now the day after the day that I went to go see the Monteros. I told the guy I wanted to sleep on it, so I slept on it. I'll be honest with you, I had pretty much made my mind up by the end of the day yesterday. I don't remember if I said this before, but he went ahead and came down to $2,000 on him. So I really think I'm getting a deal here. All right, Snowpocalypse Monteros. Brake fluid, antifreeze. All right, I'm now driving the Montero. I do have to shift, so I will be leaving shortly. It seems to be going down a road, so we're looking real good. Anyways, this is it. I gotta go. All right, Snowpocalypse 2024, Atlanta, Georgia. We are coming through downtown in a very sketchy Mitsubishi Montero. The snow is flying. We can see the gold dome of the Capitol. My cousin is behind me in the 92 F-150, which incidentally is by far the most reliable vehicle of this caravan. I have oil pressure, I'm not overheating, and we're headed home. All right, so this is our tow rig. We made it all the way to Napa in Southwest Atlanta before realizing that the whole cooling system on the Montero was too blown to ever function again. Head gasket's blown, radiator's blown, everything's blown. This whole thing might be blown, so this is Operation No Sleep Till Bowden. We're gonna try and make it to Bowden and offload this in my sister's house. We made it to Bowden! Oh, and my sister's here. parking the silver Montero. This is the one with the blown head gasket. It is no longer spewing out massive amounts of smoke because it is no longer has any antifreeze in it. Left to smoke out. And we're just gonna leave this here for a while. All right, it's next morning or next day. This thing did fire right up. It's running now. Check engine light's gone. It's not smoking. Didn't seem to leak anything overnight. Still does not want to idle cold. You got to keep your foot on the gas a little bit till it warms up. I think it's got a vacuum leak maybe somewhere or something. Oil pressure starts off strong. It dips quite a bit when it gets warm. I did a little bit of research. I'm not too worried about it. I think that's like semi-normal-ish. It seems to run okay. It's hard to judge much by sound with the cat being missing. Mission accomplished. We got both the Monteros off the guy's property, which I think was the primary thing for him. Be honest with you, I don't think the guy who sold me these really needed the money. I think he just needed them gone, and I think that's how I got the deal that I got on him. He could tell that I was serious enough and mechanically inclined enough to get him off his property in short order. And so I got these for $2,000 for the pair, and I'm hoping that's a deal. It feels like a deal, but there's a lot going on with these. So this is the tan one. This is a good one. This is the one I brought home. Silver one we stabbed at my sister's house. Man, you know, I don't know if I got a video of it running with antifreeze in it. But when we first started that thing up, it was bone dry, and we threw a couple of jugs in it, and man, I've never seen so much smoke come out of a vehicle in my life. You couldn't see well enough to drive it. I mean, it was just amazing. Anyways, that silver one is a whole can of worms, and I don't want to even think about it for now. I want to compartmentalize these in my brain, because I got some projects. I got some rotating projects, and obviously right now I'm almost done with that white pickup, that white Ford over there behind mine, and I got to get that thing out the door before I even start thinking about these. And before I do any of that, I mean, for Pete's sake, I got a real life. I got to pack my bags and catch a flight to Tampa in the morning. So none of this stuff is exactly what I would call a hot item on the to-do list for me at this moment. But this is, again, this is the tan one. This is the good one. As soon as that white Ford is out the door, I'm going to start shifting my attention to this thing. And then the silver one is going to sit at sister's house till an undisclosed period of time. I'm going to try not to be that guy and abuse my welcome there, but that one's just, it's second on the list. So here's the attack plan with this guy. Here's what I know about it. Manual. Rare option adds value. 4x4, I think these were all 4x4. That's great. It's got $239 on it. It's got a receipt in the glove box. The guy who I bought it from had some work done to it not too long ago. The cylinder heads, I believe he said the cylinder heads were either replaced or machined, whatever. But the cylinder heads have been gone through. Obviously, it's got a head gasket, time belt, water pump, some injector stuff, spark plugs, yada, yada, yada. A lot of tune-up stuff. The engine in this one, I think, is probably okay-ish for now. Trans seems to shift great. 4x4 seems to work great. Brakes need work. Hopefully that's not too bad. So that's a priority, is brakes. I got some stuff written down on this piece of paper. This will shift over time. I already threw a battery in it. This driver's window glass, I got this on order from a junkyard in Florida. Place in St. Augustine's got 2 or 3 of these. They seemed easy to deal with there. Got one in the mail for me for $77, and that was after shipping and taxes and everything. So I actually came out below my estimate on that. The brakes, cold idle, I wrote down before. This thing doesn't run quite right. It sat for a while, so, you know, hopefully it's nothing critical. But it doesn't run quite right. Seems a little bit down on power to me, but honestly, it's hard to tell anything because it doesn't have a catalytic converter and it runs extremely, extremely loud. So I'm gonna have to throw a cat on it. Now, there's Rock Auto cats for these things for like $170. I don't know if it's as simple as just ordering one of those and bolting it on there, but that's gonna have to be addressed pretty soon. The tires, these are 2013 DOTs. I hate it because they're BF Goodrich's. They're nice. but I think they're a little bit beyond salvation. Although, you know me, if I'm being totally honest, I'll probably get scared of the price tag and just like spray some crap out of a can on them and call them new. I love the interior of this thing. Me and my cousin were sitting down last night and we watched the John Davis Motor Week from '89, and he relentlessly ragged on the what he called the tacky upholstery of these things. I just think this is the coolest stuff ever. I mean, I think that's like the kind of stuff that I think it looks cool now. Both these Monteros come with the limited slip rear end. Good option. The bus driver seat, as they call this, I believe this was an option. It's actually a really neat thing. Obviously, yeah, there's some value to this Montero. This has got it's got alloys on it. They all match. Even the spare, which I got to throw some kind of a used tire or something on that just to doll up the appearance. It's got the hitch on it. Now, here's the other thing we're dealing with on this. And I need to address this in some fashion before I get too deep into any other expenditures, is the rust. Now, I'm not an expert on rust. In fact, I've dealt with it very little. I've never lived up north and never lived in a rust state. And so I don't know how serious this is. I don't know what my options are. I don't know what the difficulty level is on this stuff. And I don't know what it would cost if I were to just pay someone to do some stuff to it. I don't know if I'm priced out of that or not. But the rust is a concern. It's something that I got to really evaluate before I get too deep in this thing. The interior on this one, I think, is really solid. It's a big pet peeve of mine that's missing that one headrest, because otherwise it's so complete. It's just missing that one thing and it really sticks out like a sore thumb. I would love to source that thing, but that's going to be one challenge with this vehicle is parts sourcing, I'm guessing. So what else did I write down on my list? Detail outside, that's not too bad. Detail inside, I can do that for free. I like that stuff. I never did get the radio to come on. I do actually think, from what I recall from the first time I ever looked at this thing, I think the AC worked. Yeah, but I'm not an expert. I don't know a ton about the AC and heat on this thing. So we got to see if all that stuff works. I think the power windows work. Power windows on the silver one I know work. It's about all that's about all you can say about that silver one. So yeah, battery's done. Window glass is ordered. I just got to put it in. Brakes I got to figure out. Running issues I got to figure out. Like I said, I thought it was missing. I thought it was down on power. It's hard to tell a hell of a lot without a cat on it. So getting the exhaust figured out, that's priority. Getting the rust figured out, that's priority. Other than that, cleaning it up. And it's like, you know, I always say with these flips, and you can see it if you watch with the white one, I started out with a list just like this of like, here's big picture, the first things that I see on delivery, if you will. And then as you get into it, the list, it shrinks and expands at the same time because you're fixing stuff, but you're finding stuff. But also your initial list is always more of a big picture type of deal. And then the list, as it expands as time goes on, it becomes more granular, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, mostly a good thing. So, yeah. This one I feel pretty good about. Like I said, engine's been worked over. Manual trans, big plus. Four-wheel drive works. That's great. Climate control mostly seems to work. Great. Exterior is great, except a little bit of rust. Great. The limited slip. Bus driver's seat. I mean, yada, yada, yada. I go on and on. I think there's a lot of positives here. I am afraid I might be dealing with some electrical gremlins. I did not have blinkers on the way home. And also, when I first started this thing up, the horn, when I first went to go look at this thing, as soon as I hooked the battery up to it, the horn was just blaring nonstop and I couldn't get it stopped. So I just unplugged it. So there's that, as they say. I'm not a fan of the tint. I think this tint on here is a little bit trashy. I'd love to get rid of that. I'd love to re-blackify all this black stuff. If I could find a product that was idiot-proof, for one thing. Cheap, easy, and idiot-proof, then I'd do that. But yeah, this tan one, I'm hopeful about. Here's the underside. I really don't think that this is going to be a vehicle that's lost to rust. I think that this is a savable thing. I really do. Now, I'm not an expert on these. I'm not an expert on rust, but I'm not seeing a dead car.